Welcome back to Neuroconversion Leadership, where we talk about communication in the STEM workplace and or when you're communicating with someone who is either neurodivergent or just neuro different than you are. Today we have a very fun guest, Evgeniy Kharam. I apologize if I didn't quite pronounce that correctly. He is a cybersecurity expert, but he also has a very strong focus on soft skills and is even writing a book about it. Evgeniy, welcome.
Thank you, Jeremy. Very, very happy to be here. And it's very interesting because you told me about writing the book. The book is actually done. And today, while we're recording, I'm not sure when it's going to be aired. We're actually uploading the book to Amazon. So I'm very, very excited to be here today and talk about my experience. And I really hope to help people as well.
Perfect timing. This episode is going to go live on Thursday the 20th.
The book should be out probably a couple of days after. So right now we're targeting August 1st.
Perfect. Very exciting. I will be sure to put notes in the notes, letting people know how to find it. So I gave a very brief description of the fact that you're a cybersecurity expert, but also have written a book on soft skills and communication. Can you give us a couple more minutes about your background and what you've done and how you've gotten to where you are now?
Sounds good, definitely. So I'm Evgeniy. I've been around for probably 25 years in cybersecurity. I moved when I was small from USSR, still USSR, now is Ukraine, to Israel, and spent majority of my life in Israel doing the high school, doing the army duty in the Navy, where I started to be more technologically savvy versus cybersecurity yet. I spent 5 years in the Navy doing a variety of stuff related to IT and networking. And when I finished my duty, I joined a company called Checkpoint. Checkpoint is quite a big provider of cybersecurity in the world and been around for more than 30 years. I was there for 2 years, and I started my career in the cyber as a QA analyst. So I was checking how firewalls are working and what does it mean. Later on, I moved to Canada, did my second time immigration, and started to work for a guy named Robert Horjovic. So for everybody that in US, if you watch Shark Tank, you may know Robert Horjovic as a shark guy, or maybe from Dancing in the Stars later on as well. And I worked for Robert for almost 17 years, doing pre-sales work, delivery work, manager work, consulting work, pretty much many, many different things. When I joined the company had 16 people. When I graduated or left the company, it was around 450 people 2 years ago. Currently, yes, very gross. Currently, I have my own consulting company to consult to vendors in cybersecurity and companies that provide services. So I'm kind of a consulting to consulting people. During the same time, around 4 years ago, I started a podcast with a friend of mine because I saw there's a part that's missing in the industry about architecture and design. And about 2 years ago, I started another podcast called Cyber Inspiration to talk to founders to understand what is their motivation to start the company. And in the same time, the idea of soft skill was bubbling in my head. In a very, very early age, I read the book about Dale Carnegie, How to Find Friends and Influence People, and it helped me quite a lot because in my early stages of life, I will not speak very clearly. I had a lot of speech deficiencies. I will speak very quickly in some cases. I will kind of and a lot. So it's definitely impacted my life. So I started to find a way or different way to connect to people, to find what's in common, to find what they like, to understand how to talk to them, maybe even some breathing patterns later on. When I moved to Canada, my second immigration, English became my third language. And in Canada, there's a lot of immigrants. In the US, there's also a lot of immigrants, and everybody has their own dialect, about their own accent. But it's still not very easy. If you're presenting to a person, if you're presenting to a CEO, CTO, to a board member, they want to understand what you're saying. You're there for them. They're probably paying quite a lot of money for your services. So it's your job to explain to them what's happening. What I realize is many of us that are amazingly smart, men, women, not always have the ability to translate what's in our head to a simple language or to a business language. This is why I always try to do an analogy to explain cybersecurity. Oh, think about the house. You have different windows, different ways to get in, and maybe a fence, maybe a camera, to kind of relate to day-by-day life for people to explain the concept I'm trying to do. And when talking to people, mentoring people in my life, I realize it's a very missing piece.
With people in cybersecurity or technical people specifically, or everyone?
I think it's pretty much everyone because technology can spread everywhere. If I'm a house designer, I still need to explain to you what I'm trying to do. If I'm a builder, if I'm a technology person, of course, the deeper is the technology. If you're talking about physics or chemistry or other very, very deep science, it's going to be even harder to explain the concept to the person how it's working. But the idea of patient and impatient people also take a very, very big effect right now. Because let's say, we're going to go back to house analogy. If I'm coming to you to sell you a new air conditioner, you maybe don't want it, but if I'm able to explain to you the efficiency of the new air conditioner, the ROI, the return on investment, when you pay less money, it will heat or cool it better, then it may work for you. But even before I start to explain you these ideas, I need to get you to the point that you want to listen. Versus if you come to me and say, Evgeny, my air conditioner is not working, come fix to me. And then I say, okay, let's do it. But still, now I may say, Jeremy, you have a 3-ton air conditioner. We're going to replace it to 1-to-1. Or I may say, hey, by the way, just new unit came out with AI, ML, or any other buzzwords. It will cost you $2,000 more, but it will do blah, 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 blah. So I can still upsell. So it can be applicable anywhere in life. It depends from where we're looking to. But during the pandemic, it became worse.
How so?
Because during the pandemic, we lost the ability to have a physical connection. When I come to you and you sitting in the room, in the same room, and let's talk about still air conditioners, just why not? It's summer. And I'm talking to you about the air conditioner. You're probably talking to me. You're not on your phone. You're not on your Outlook. You're not on your Facebook. You're not on LinkedIn. Versus right now, I'm talking to you over an application. I don't know how many screens you have. I don't know if you're looking at me or you say, this is very nice, this is amazing, and you basically looking on something else.
It's so hard. I do presentations and teach over Zoom or various different platforms. When you're not in the room, it's so hard to really gauge people's responses because, as you said, you just don't know. They could have Zoom minimized so it looks like they're looking at you, but really it's just minimized and they're checking emails or doing what they're doing. So,
but there is also other parts. So if I know you're distracted by definition, then instead of, hi Jeremy, how you doing? How was your day? Let me sell you my air conditioner. I'm probably going to talk to you about, hey Jeremy, I just realized you're teaching a course. What are you teaching about? Because fundamentally, we all love to talk about our hobbies or what we do in life. Now, am I a creep that I know that you're teaching? Probably not, because it's online, it's available. If I tell you, hey, Jeremy, how you doing? I see you just went to Miami last week. Nice yacht you have. It's like, oh. Then it's going to be a bit creepy, like, how do you know about the yacht I have? We're not even friends on Facebook. So there's like a level of connectivity. Now, if I give you the ability to talk about your training, about your course, and maybe you're going to be like, oh yeah, I love this, but nobody listening to me on Zoom, and I'll give you time to talk, then you're like, oh, this Evgeny is kind of nice. What he wants to sell to me, let me listen to him. But this could be not just selling. This could be, I want to present to Jeremy a new idea we want to do at work, at school, at the business. I want Jeremy to listen. I want Jeremy will listen if you can connect. And if you take the idea of building blocks and build on top, then okay, what is required for Evgeny to connect to Jeremy? Kind of know how to talk, first of all. Ideally, if Evgeny doing 8, 10, 12 calls a day, back to back, then Evgeny now using his voice all the time. Did Evgeny actually proficient and have a nice voice? Did Evgeny ever record himself to analyze his speech to make sure he is not, hi Jeremy, hello. So we no decided to have a new air conditioner, so and we can like what? Like we have so many people that have filler words left and right, and I'm not saying it's bad. Don't get me wrong. We're human beings, but I think it's bad if we're not trying to analyze ourselves and say, oh, I'm actually doing this all the time. I know I still say awesome from time to time, or say so from time to time. This is my filler words that I'm still working on them. But all the others, I took time to slowly remove them and replace them with pause. Like, hi Jeremy, how you doing? I know today we're talking about. So I have like a one CPU of my brain thinking about that instead of saying, I will just be quiet for a second.
It's hard to do. So there are a number of very interesting things that you brought up in there. And so that so is mine. That is my filler word. I start sentences with it all the time, and I'm having a really difficult time breaking that habit. But listening to yourself is hard. People don't like to hear their own voice, but it's so powerful. You learn so much if you can videotape yourself and do it for 30 days. You'll get over it. Like, I didn't like listening to myself in the beginning, but now I got over it, and I think my voice is fine, even though I say so too much.
Did you listen to yourself because you started to record a podcast, or because there's something you wanted to work on?
Mostly because of the podcast. That's how it started. Yeah. I do presentations and things, so I've watched myself do presentations before. But it got much more common once I started the podcast because I go through and edit, so I have to listen to myself every week.
It took me like 6 months to be okay to listen to my voice on a recording, and I'm totally fine with my voice right now. But if we continue talking about the voice part, how many of us will actually record yourself? It's a very small percentage, and then realize, you know what? I don't know how to help myself. I know I'm saying so. I know I'm doing that. What if I go to a speech therapist or voice coach, not even speech therapist, voice coach, to analyze my voice, to understand? So I went to a voice coach and I realized that I had no idea, because I'm not a musician, that I knew I have a low voice. But apparently I have a low voice, I have a high tone pitch, and there's nothing in between.
Oh.
So we worked for 6 to 9 months to try to actually have the full spectrum. Then now I'm sound much more, not human, but I think more pleasant for people as well.
Interesting. And you've talked about Zoom and meeting virtually a lot. Is the voice even more important over that medium than it is when you're in person?
Yes, and I'll explain my point of view here. When we're doing in-person meetings, not if you're teaching. Let's say if you're teaching 8 hours a day or you're teaching 8 hours a day on Zoom, you're still talking 8 hours a day. But if you're doing, let's say, sales meetings, in person, you're probably going to have 4 to 5 meetings a day because you have to drive from place to place. Mm-hmm. And it's also a point, we'll talk about this a bit later, because you need to reflect. You can reflect between the meetings and kind of decompress a bit. If you're on Zoom, you're going to have back-to-back. So you're going to talk much more during Zoom days, whereas you have to drive from place to place. So you're using your voice to more. If you ever read about singers, they actually need to spread some of their performances, because they don't want to overuse the voice too much and lose the voice. Again, we're not doing this so much, but if the voice become one of our major tools, why not to spend time to learn how to correctly to breathe, how to use it correctly, how to actually use the voice as a tool and not just something. My teacher explained in very interesting ways, like voice is not a lazy dog that you drag yourself on a leash. No. You can actually do actually something with it. It's not just like a passive thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the youngest of 10 kids, and my mother and father are both theater people, and they told us all the time, use your voice, enunciate, speak from the diaphragm. They drilled that into us young.
Here you go. So if we're talking about continuing this idea, what if I'm afraid? What if I know how to talk, but now I'm not talking just to Jeremy, I'm talking to 50 people on Zoom and I need to explain my idea? How do I overcome this? Is it a part of soft skills? In my mind, yes. Because not something they're teaching us in school, how to overcome fears.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do something about it? Can I calm myself down? Can I relax? Can I do an exercise over it? Now, what if I do tons of calls a day, but call number 5, for example, wasn't a good call? Can I be present on call number 6 and 7? Can I basically take myself back? What do I do about it? So it's all part of the book. If you take the book and think about it like a bridge, and every chapter is a pillar or building blocks, that every chapter helping you to become a better person, and you can do better to yourself. But also for this, if you want to connect to other people, this is just a small tools. Now, if you have a better voice, you're not afraid, you're calm, you have a nice voice, you have a nice video setup, you have a very awesome microphone, you have a very good camera, maybe using teleprompter. It's all small pieces of the big puzzle. And now you take this and you have the tools to use it. Because now if we're guiding people, you want to understand when to be quiet, when to listen, when to talk, how to ask questions, how to collaborate with other people on your team. What if there is more than 2 people on your side? Do you interrupt each other or do you help each other? There's a lot of small tools and ideas how to do, how to connect to people, how to use hooks to understand. Like hooks we talk about. Again, the hook could be, if I know you're teaching, I can ask you what you're teaching. It's become a hook. But there's also an idea of a reverse hook. So the reverse hook could be, I have a baseball hat with my favorite football. If you, by mistake, like the same football team, you're like, oh, Evgeny, I see you're a fan of whatever it is. So I just created something for you to connect to me. Like I have a t-shirt of Eminem that, I don't know, 8 times of 10. Like, oh my God, you have an Eminem. Oh, it's great. So people, because it's connect, okay, the same age probably, to the people. Like, okay, I respect the guy or whatever it is. Of course, sometimes to times, people don't care. But you can create these reverse hooks to connect to people. Like right now, I'm not recording from home. I'm in a hotel. But at home, I have a very big green screen behind me. It's a very, very bright green screen. And if I connect to people, not on a recording for the podcast, but a regular, it's like, what's up with the green screen? It's like, oh, I have a podcast. And I can tell about the media and what I do. So there's many, many different ideas without being a creep. Like just to humanly connect to people and have a nice conversation. But then you get to the point when the more you know about stuff in life, the bigger are your horizon, the more educated you are, then it's easier for me to talk on a different topics with you because I'm natively curious and I natively care about these topics.
It is always amazing to me how most people are not particularly curious. You can talk about interesting things and they will just let it pass right by without asking questions to try to understand more. I think we should all spend more time with children and remember what it's like to be curious about everything.
Yes, I 100% agree. And I always ask my kids, did you ask the teacher why? He's like, no. I'm like, why? Nobody asked why. But do you care? Yes. So like, great, at least you care. I want you to be curious because how science is working. It's not science working. Actually, no, sorry, I'm sorry. Science is working if you're curious or if you're too lazy. Okay, so you're too lazy and want to improve your life, then you're like, okay, I don't want to do that. Let me figure out how to do it better.
Nice. So laziness is the father of invention, is what you're saying.
I think one part of it for sure,
Can you give a couple of examples? You talked about overcoming fear, and it sounded like you have some strategies for that. Is this something you can share with the audience?
Oh, 100%. It's in the book, definitely. So when the book is out, get it. But one of the simple things is you want to normalize your physiology of your body. So you're scared, and if you look about the fear, if you think about the fear, there's 2 ways to approach this. 1 or maybe even 3 ways to approach this. Fear can also be excitement. If you go on a bike ride and you see a big jump and you're afraid from it, you're probably also at the same time excited. If you're jumping from it maybe, skydiving. Many people afraid to go and do stuff, but they also know when they're going to do this, they're going to be very excited and happy about it. So they need to overcome this fear. So this is like, a nice fear. But let's say about public speaking fear. It's a very, very common phobia. Like 85% of people have issue with public speaking. And I'm guessing all of us, in one way or another, have some kind of fear about this, depend of the size of the people and depend on the size of the deal or the stakes going there as well.
Yep.
So usually when we're afraid, we start breathing quicker because we're afraid. We are doing some stuff like we are jittery as well. And if you measure the heart rate, probably it's going to be more elevated. Probably. That doesn't mean to. So one of the common things to do is slow down your breathing. Mm-hmm. If you slow down your breathing, you're forcing your body to slow down as well. And if you even at the same time focusing on your breathing part, then you now reframing your focus from being afraid to being there. So think about that. There is a study called NLP. And NLP is saying that we can do 4, 5, 6 things at the same time. So if we're afraid, part of us focusing and doing and be focusing on being afraid. If you're riding on a bike on a very high speed and you're afraid, in one point you forget about being afraid because now you need to focus on actually riding the bike and see what's happening around you. So your focus is become very crystal clear. Same here. If I'm focusing on my breath, if I'm focusing on what I'm doing, I'm basically supposed to be slowing down. But even if I'm go to like simple yoga breathings, if I'm doing what's called 1-2 breathing, I'm inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8, I'm now slow down. You will feel your heart rate will slow down. There's something also called box breathing. If I'm inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4, and repeating the pattern. So if I do it for 5 seconds, for example, so each of the square will be 5, it will take me 20 seconds to do one cycle of breathing.
Yep.
So it basically means I'm going to do 3 breaths per minute. Versus normal one is 10, 12, 15, 18. So by doing some of the slow breathing exercise, I forcing myself to slow down. I forcing my systems, my heart rate to slow down as well. And I guarantee if you do box breathing for 2-3 minutes before you're doing something very scary, you're going to be easier for you. But there's also other things to do. You can do jumping jacks. You can do other physical activity. You can swim. You're basically trying to kind of change the pattern. It's in the book. There's other ideas as well. But I think breathing is the easiest things to do. You can do the box breathing while you're driving. Don't close your eyes, of course. Don't completely zone out. But you can do it anytime you want.
Breathing is so powerful. It is the one thing that is both automatic and consciously controlled. And when you consciously control your breathing, you are tapping into all of the subconscious and automatic systems in your body, getting everything to kind of relax and regulate itself. That's a great one. Another thing that I always tell people is just drop your shoulders, because when people get nervous, their shoulders go up and it just tenses everything. And if you just relax them, then it goes a long way towards helping people to kind of realize just how tense they were.
So self-awareness. Self-awareness is like, can you actually, and this is an interesting exercise that it's not in the book, but I think it's something we forget to do because we're so busy, we're so running somewhere, just to sit down for a second and kind of scan your body. Like, am my shoulder up? Do I tense? Where do I tense? What's happening with me? Even for like a minute or half a minute.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of what can be done with fear. And I think it's great to push yourself out of the comfort zone. And you have to do it, especially, even so we call soft skills supposed to be soft and nice and fluffy. To practice soft skills, you have to get out of your comfort zone, because you have to talk to people, and people could be intimidating. I think computers and desks and papers are less intimidated. They don't talk to you back, at least for now.
Knock on wood.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, in the interest of everyone's time, we need to start wrapping up. So before I ask you my 3 standard questions, I will just ask you this one. Are there any topics that you are really hoping to cover today that we didn't get to?
One topic is that I think soft skills is something that's important for everyone in our life, not just for people that's selling stuff. Everybody need to understand with Facebooks, Instagrams, everything moving so fast. You got a like, it's like 0 or 1. There is nothing in between. It takes time to connect to people. Let's not lose the personal connection we had before COVID. And even if you're doing a Zoom meeting with your friends, do your best to be there, to be present.
Yeah, what you talked about, asking questions, communication is both speaking and listening, and asking questions and getting them to engage with you, which is what you talked about in the beginning, is just so powerful.
I do want to add something tiny small about asking questions. Read about and think about open questions and closed questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, Jeremy, what is your favorite color? It's a closed question. You can say blue or green. Or Jeremy, can you describe your favorite color and why? Now you have to say, yes, it's blue, and it's blue because la na 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 na. Now I let you talk. I'm open the conversation. This is some of the secrets of consulting or high-end consulting in my mind, when you not just asking, do you have this? Do you have that? Can you do that? You actually talking to people and opening up people as well. And you can do the same in your life as well.
Yeah, just the phrase, tell me more, is a great one, just
Yes.
to get people to keep going. And I'll answer my favorite question with a little story. My favorite color is purple. But when I was younger, I didn't think that purple was going to get me any street credibility, so I used to always say green. So I would say my favorite color is purple, but my favorite color for things is green. But really now I've grown out of that, and I just tell people purple's my favorite color.
Nice.
So the 3 questions, part A and B for number 1 is, where is a place you have traveled and loved, and a place you've not yet been but want to go?
There's several places I want to go, but there's one place I really want to go. It's on my horizon, and it's actually one of a kind. There is this entire idea of skydiving, or called wingsuit, when you're jumping and you kind of pretending you're a plane, but it's very dangerous. And to do that, you have to have at least 200 or 400 base jumps to even start. So to do this, it's quite hard. I am currently running iFlying. It's in an indoor skydiving place.
Oh, that's hard.
But there's a place in Sweden, only one for now. They're supposed to open a place in Florida where we can do internal wingsuit fly. So it's very safe. You don't need any license. You don't need to do anything. It's internal, very controlled. There's a tunnel down there. So this is one of the places I wanted to go for quite a long time. But I also don't want to go just right now, because I want to have my skills to bump a bit to actually have more fun there as well. Because one part, yeah, anybody can do this. Second part, okay, can you actually enjoy it and do it on a bit higher level? So this is where I would love to go. Where I want to come back, we did a sailing trip in Croatia with buddies or friends last year, and it was really, really nice. I want to come back and do a sailing trip in Croatia again.
Wonderful. I have on my bucket list to, I call it a squirrel suit, but a wingsuit. So it's on my bucket list to get certified and be able to do that. Good one.
Nice. Do you have a skydiving license?
Nope, not yet. But
so you should check the places in Sweden.
Perfect. Maybe that will get onto my where I want to go list.
Yeah, let's record the podcast while you're flying,
I like it. Second question is, who is a person who you think is a fantastic communicator, whether in your personal life or a famous historic figure?
Oh, I got the opportunity to work with Robert Horjovic for 16 years. So definitely Robert Horjovic influenced in the beginning of communication skills and public speaking skills, and how he showed and how I saw how he can adapt different type of people, and also how he present and how he move the crowd and how people understand and like the stories. So this is definitely, there's many other great communicators, but just because I was close to him and I saw different transformation publicly, privately, it was very interesting.
Oh, so adaptability is a big part of that.
Yes.
Like it. And then what is one piece of communication advice that everybody can benefit from?
I think what I described before, the best things you can do to become a better communicator, especially for public speaking, is to have the pause. To replace the filler words with the pause. 2 seconds, nothing gonna happen. Try it. There's a logical part, like why people think that somebody gonna interrupt them, or they may gonna be stupid. There's like, so they're trying to have like a connecting sound until they figure out what they wanna say. But having a pause, this is very, very cool.
It's so hard for people to do. When people are presenting or talking, I recommend that they have a bottle of water with them so that when they should pause but can't get themselves to because it's that silence just is begging for someone to jump in, I'd say take a sip of water. It'll give you 2 seconds of silence that does not seem awkward.
Yes, and to add to that, when you ask a question, so not when you're just presenting, when you ask a question, and it's a tough question, don't over communicate. Ask the question and just be quiet. Because you don't need to elaborate. They understood what happened. They need time to answer. Or maybe because it's a hard question or it's a very serious topic, they don't know how to answer it. But give them the time to answer. The silence is going to push on them as well to answer.
Yep. People don't like silence. All right. This has been wonderful. Can you remind us of where people can learn more about you, about your book, and how they might be able to get in contact with you?
Yes. So the easiest way to find is going to be probably on LinkedIn. I'm quite active there. Evgeniy Kharam, Evgeniy, last name Kharam, Kharam. Thanks God that not too many Evgenys, so it's easy to find. And for the book, it's softskillstech.ca or .com that I'm sure you're going to put in the show notes as well.
Yep.
And going to be out August 1st.
Perfect. I look forward to getting a copy of that myself. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Neuroconversant Leadership. If you found this beneficial, can you do me one small favor? It'll be quick, I promise. Can you go and give this podcast a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever it is that you listen before doing anything else? Unless you're driving. If you're driving, then I need you to keep driving. And then when you're done and parked, then go ahead and give me a review. Hopefully 5 stars, but whatever you are comfortable honestly giving. Thank you and have a great day.